On a quiet, wind-kissed evening in Seoul. The kind where the city lights flicker like scattered stars. A wave of anticipation swept across the entertainment industry. It wasn't for a drama premiere, nor a scandalous rumor, but for something far more delicate, an unexpected revelation promised by actress Jung Hae-in in an upcoming interview. The network had released only a single teaser clip, just 3 seconds long, but it was enough to ignite a firestorm. A close-up of So-min, eyes glistening, voice trembling as she said, "There's something I've never told anyone, especially about him." The pronoun him was all it took. Seoul erupted. Reporters scrambled to confirm the identity behind her words. Fan forums lit up like wildfire. And at the center of every speculation, one name appeared again and again: Jung Hae-in. Their chemistry had always been undeniable, gentle yet powerful, quiet yet charged with something real. And when they weren't working together, fans couldn't stop pairing them, describing their aura as natural, effortless, and too sincere to be just acting. Still, expected that So-min herself would be the one to open a door everyone else had only dared to knock on. Before the interview was set to air, the atmosphere around Seoul's broadcasting building felt strangely heavy, as if the city itself sensed that something tender, something vulnerable, was about to surface. Inside the studio, the lighting was warm, the mood hushed, and the cameras poised with steady patience. Jung So-min sat in the center, her hands resting carefully on her lap, her expression calm but distant, as though her heart was wandering somewhere far beyond the four walls of the studio. To understand the weight of her confession, one had to go back to the first time she and Jung Hae-in crossed paths, long before any rumors or speculations. It was during a script reading session for a drama that never aired, a project shelved due to production issues. Most people had forgotten it, but for those who were there, one memory remained vivid: the instant connection between the two actors. It wasn't dramatic, there were no sparks flying or exaggerated reactions. Their eyes met, and something softened, like two familiar souls recognizing each other after a long time apart. During rehearsals, their dynamic felt unusually natural. Directors whispered to each other that they didn't need to push them because their emotions flowed as if they had rehearsed together for months. In one emotional scene, So-min's voice cracked at the exact moment Hae-in's gaze turned tender, and everyone in the room fell silent. When the director yelled cut, staff exchanged glances, quietly stunned by the authenticity of the moment. Outside the script reading room, however, the connection only deepened. They shared coffee breaks talking about books, films, and the pressure of always having to appear perfect. On rainy days, Hae-in instinctively tilted his umbrella so it covered So-min more than himself. She would smile shyly, thanking him in a voice barely above a whisper. He would respond with a soft laugh, the kind that felt warm even in the cold drizzle. But as their familiarity grew, so did So-min's conflict. She treasured their closeness, yet she feared it. She knew how unforgiving the Korean entertainment industry could be. Co-stars getting too close invited rumors. Rumors invited judgment. Judgment invited chaos. And she didn't want chaos swallowing something so fragile. So she built emotional walls, not to keep him out, but to protect both of them from a world that dissected every glance and every smile. Still, feelings are not curtains one can simply close. They find cracks, slip through, and illuminate everything from within. There were moments she couldn't forget, moments that lived in the quiet places of her heart. Like the time Hae-in waited for her after a long, exhausting day of filming, holding 2 warm drinks and saying, "You look tired today. Don't forget to rest." The time she was nervous before a big emotional scene, and he gently placed a hand on her shoulder, his voice steady as he whispered, "You're enough. Just breathe." Those words stayed with her far longer than they should have. They made her heart flutter in ways she didn't want to admit, even to herself. But So-min kept her secret. How could she confess something that might ruin a friendship so precious? How could she reveal feelings that might make him uncomfortable? Especially when he was always careful, considerate, always respectful? Yet emotions have a quiet persistence. They linger. Yes. They grow. And as time passed, silence became heavier than truth. The turning point came unexpectedly, during a quiet dinner with close friends. Someone mentioned Hae-in casually, her about their cute friendship. So-min smiled politely, but inside, something stirred. She realized she was tired of pretending, tired of running, tired of carrying something beautiful like it was a burden. That night, walking home beneath the flickering street lamps, made a decision she never thought she would stop hiding. And so she agreed to the interview. When she walked into the studio, she felt strangely calm, as if she were finally stepping into the light after years of living in the shade. The host sensed her sincerity immediately, steering the conversation with gentle understanding rather than sensationalism. Talked about her recent roles, her growth, on love and vulnerability. Then came the question. Simple one, but it sliced straight to the truth. Or someone you kept a secret about. So Min froze, not out of fear, but because the moment had finally arrived. Her eyes lowered, her breath slow and careful. Looked up again. There was a softness, a trembling sincerity that even the cameras couldn't ignore. Yes, she whispered. The studio fell silent. There's someone. A pause. A heartbeat. A confession ready to spill. It's about Jung Hae-in. The words hovered in the air. Yet explosive. Gentle yet earth-shattering, just like her feelings for him. And the screen faded to black. The screen faded back in with a soft swell of background music. The kind used in documentary-style interviews when something fragile and deeply personal is about to unfold. So Min sat quietly under the warm studio lights. Her hands clasped together. Her breathing steady but delicate. The silence that followed her confession stretched long, so long that even the host didn't dare break it. Everyone watching, both in the studio and across Korea, felt as if they were witnessing a moment that wasn't meant to be public. A moment that belonged entirely to the private world of two hearts. Finally, the host leaned forward, his voice gentle. So Min, what was the secret you kept about Jung Hae-in? Her lips trembled, not with fear but with vulnerability. She exhaled slowly, as though releasing years of carefully held emotion. Truth is. Her voice softened, breaking just slightly. I had feelings for him. For a long time. Gasps rippled through the studio. Exploded. Comments surged across livestream platforms. But in that small, warm-lit room, So Min remained composed, fragile yet brave. She had rehearsed this moment only in her mind and nowhere else. She continued, her voice steadier now. It wasn't something I planned. Just happened little by little. The way he listened. The way he treated people. The way he looked at you like you mattered. I told myself it was just professional respect between colleagues. But it wasn't. Her eyes glistened as she let out a small, embarrassed laugh. I kept it hidden because I didn't want to affect his career. I didn't want fans to misunderstand. And honestly, I didn't want to ruin what we already had. The host nodded, visibly moved. It sounds like it wasn't a simple crush. She shook her head gently. No, it wasn't. It was the kind of feeling that scares you because it feels too sincere, too real. The audience watching online felt it instantly. Her words weren't dramatic, weren't exaggerated. They were quiet, heartfelt, unmistakably true. The type of truth that doesn't come from scandal, but from softness. The host finally asked the question the nation was waiting for. And does Jung Hae-in know about this? Min hesitated, lowering her gaze. I don't know, she whispered. Maybe he sensed it. Maybe he didn't. I tried so hard to hide it. She recounted moments she thought she had concealed well, her lingering smiles after conversations. The way she always felt calmer when he was near. Small flutters she hid behind professionalism. But she also described moments she feared he might have seen right through her blush during a scene. Her nervous laugh when he teased her. Her eyes softened whenever he did something thoughtful. I felt selfish for feeling that way. She admitted quietly. Because I didn't want to make him uncomfortable. And I didn't want to burden him with something he didn't ask for. The host allowed her to breathe through the silence that followed. Then he asked gently. If he's watching tonight, is there anything you want to say to him? Her eyes shimmered with a fragile courage. Yes, she said softly. Then, looking directly into the camera, into the possibility of his eyes, she spoke. Thank you, for being someone I could admire. Even from a distance. Even in silence. Not a confession meant to win him. It was not a declaration asking for a response. It was a release of feelings long kept safe behind the walls of professionalism and fear. When the interview ended, the internet erupted like never before. Articles sprang up within minutes. Headlines screamed across every portal site. Fan communities debated, speculated, supported, worried. But among the noise, one question overshadowed all. Jung Hae-in say. For hours, he remained silent. No statement from his agency. No social media post. No denial. No clarification. Just silence. Then, late into the night, when Seoul was winding down and the interview began circulating internationally, Hae-in finally made a move. He called her. So-min later described the moment in a quiet follow-up statement. He didn't say anything at first, she recalled. It was just silence. But not the uncomfortable kind. More like, he was trying to find the right words. Finally spoke. His voice was soft. Thank you for trusting the world with something so personal. She didn't reply at first, overwhelmed by his gentleness. And he added, I was afraid too, you know. Of ruining things. Afraid of misunderstanding. Afraid of losing you. She had never expected that. Not in her wildest, most hopeful thoughts. But a few days later in a small cafe, away from cameras and curious eyes, the moment she stepped inside, Hae-in stood to greet her. They paused, two people who had danced around unspoken emotions for too long. He smiled first. We don't have to pretend anymore, huh? She laughed softly, her tension dissolving. Maybe, we can just be honest now. They didn't define anything that day. Didn't make promises or declarations. But they talked, really talked. About fear. Timing. About feelings that grew quietly. Like wildflowers in the cracks of their busy lives. Before they parted, he said one last thing, a gentle sentence that held the promise of a beginning. We'll figure it out, together. No pressure. Just honesty. And for the first time, So-min felt the weight she carried for years lift. Floating away like petals in the wind. The public never received an official couple announcement. No scandal. No frenzy. No confirmation. Just a subtle shift in the way they appeared around each other, warmer smiles, softer glances. An ease that can't be faked. Fans sensed it. Reporters guessed it. But only the two of them knew the truth. Sometimes the most shocking revelations are not the ones that break hearts, but the ones that finally allow two hearts to breathe freely. And in the soft, unspoken space between Jung Hae-in and Young So-min, a quiet, unexpected love story had already begun to bloom.